All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed some music while we are having a rainy day out there, bringing some good tunes to you guys virtually. We're excited about our panel, our discussion for today, as everyone is still challenged by this pandemic, and as you are trying to either open your doors or think of when that timing is appropriate. We're excited today to bring some information that we're working on GVF, and also then we'll be turning it over to our keynote speaker, Rochelle from SEPTA, to learn a little more detail about what SEPTA is doing. So today I'm going to be introducing both of our speakers, and first up we have Stacy Weiss, who's our TDM manager. Stacy oversees our marketing and communication, works with our partners on creating mobility strategies and the management of assisting with our program. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Stacy, for the presentation.
Great, thank you, Maureen. All right, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. So prior to COVID, this photo was very familiar scene to many commuters who would come down 422 corridor. A daily battle with traffic. You can see in the bottom right-hand corner, the two bicyclists. I'm pretty sure we can assume they probably got to work faster than some of the people sitting in this traffic. So then COVID-19 hit and our world got flipped upside down. We had to stay at home. We were asked to limit our travel. Businesses and home life were affected. But the PowerPoint today recognizes that not everybody is immediately going to be returning to the work site. We know it's going to take time, but we want to recognize that this is a time to reset and rethink everything, how we approach everything. And that includes the commute and how people are getting to and from work. Because what we don't want to see is traffic and congestion rise to high levels again. So why should we make commuter behavior a priority right now? During the lockdown, air quality greatly improved. And that was because everybody is working from home. There was reduced cars on the roadway. And in turn, what this means is that the more air pollution there is, the more susceptible we are to respiratory diseases like COVID. And so those who have pre-existing respiratory illnesses like asthma, they're having an even tougher time recovering from COVID because of our air pollution. So it was really, a great thing to see that air pollution was decreasing during this lockdown. So we don't want to return to that. So we have to keep the momentum going to encourage employees to use alternatives so we can have a better quality of life. Like everything, mobility drastically changed and adapted quickly during COVID. And so now is the opportunity for businesses and communities to really reimagine what that commute looks like for individuals. Because what we can't afford is to go back to this and high levels of congestion. Because essentially more cars on the road, more congestion, and poor air quality just leads to a poor quality of life. So I know many of you are really familiar with us, but I just want to give a quick overview about who GVF is. We are celebrating our 30th year. We're a nonprofit, a transportation management association, and we work with businesses, municipalities, elected officials to really help change the way people are thinking about driving alone. We don't all have to drive alone to work. There are alternatives. There are other options out there. So we're really working to educate and make people aware and push TDM forward. And so here's a glimpse of some of our partners that we work with, from developers to businesses. Transportation affects everyone. So when you're thinking about your employees returning to the workplace, if everybody decides to drive alone and we're not using these alternatives, you're going to have a parking issue. We can help with that. We can help prevent that and come up with solutions. Do you offer your employees a commuter benefit to help pay for some of these alternatives like public transit and van pooling? If not, again, we're here to help because that will just make your benefits package more robust and more attractive to employees. So what it comes down to is we need to educate employees on the alternatives and what options and what is available for them and what makes sense. So I'm just going to talk about two of GVF's branches real quick. Communities in Motion is our 501c3. Through the foundation, we've given out a number of scholarships to students who are interested in learning more about the transportation and infrastructure field. We also work with school districts to educate the youth on alternatives, the health benefits of biking and walking to school. Right now we're working with Valley Forge Middle School, and we just set up a program called My School in Motion, and they have a club. And it's really great to see. We have about 20 participants and they're really excited. We had one student write about, why can't I walk to school? There's all these gaps, it's not safe. And so we're really trying to educate them on, how can we advocate and make those connections better. The second branch is the 82 Alliance. It's a newly formed mobility think tank. And basically what's that this branch is responsible for is it takes our national involvement in TDM, and we look across the country and we look at TDM programs that are being implemented and what are other places doing and what can we bring back to the greater Philadelphia region to help improve our transportation and infrastructure system. Right now we're partnering with Transit Screen. They have a new software called CommuteWise that they're offering employers. And what it does is it takes everywhere your employees live and it provides detailed information on where their closest transit station is, where the closest bike trail is. So it's really helping employers to get that information directly to that, individualized directly to that employee so they can make more informed decisions when it comes to their commute. And this essentially helps with retainment, attracting new hires, because a lot of people, they don't want to be commuting for an hour one way and an hour back, or they want different options. And, they want to know that their employer cares about that aspect as well. So what is transportation demand management? TDM refers to various strategies that focus on helping people to change their travel behaviors using different modes, traveling at different times, route adjustments, and the length and timing of their travel in order to optimize their commute. So right now I'm going to jump in and talk a little bit about the different strategies that come under transportation demand management. I'm going to talk a little bit about public transit, but I'm going to let Rochelle go into detail about the great work that SEPTA is doing to keep the riders and employees safe. So just something to note, what we've been seeing is the beginning of the pandemic, everyone was afraid to use public transit and we saw ridership numbers go way down. There are studies out there that are showing that there's little evidence that by taking public transit, your risk of contracting COVID increases. And so we really want to get that word out and let people know, because if employees who are returning to the workplace, if they did take public transit prior, and now they're deciding, you know what, it's not safe to take public transit, I'm going to drive alone. That's an extra car that's going to cause more congestion, more air pollution. And it's just simply, it doesn't need to happen.
What are you supposed to be doing right now?
So what goes along with public transit is a lot of the time the last mile connections. Employees might be able to take the train or the bus. Getting maybe from the transit station to the workplace can be a challenge. So a great amenity that employers can offer is a employee shuttle. Well, with the proper social distancing guidelines in place, this is still a viable option for employers to offer. Utilizing every other seat, wiping down the vehicles regularly, wearing masks. And so this is a great option to encourage those employees to continue using public transit or maybe to consider using it. Bike and pedestrian infrastructure. Since the lockdown, we've seen a crazy amount of increase in trail use, and it's really great to see that people are getting out on their bikes, they're walking more, but we're still missing a lot of connections and gaps. And so, you know, we really need to
Get in your room now.
priority within our township
Time
is to make those connections, and so that people can travel to and from work by bike or walking if it's possible, and they can get to their store, and they can get to downtown. You know, here's a map that a graph that shows a comparison from March to September 2019 to March and September 2020, and it just shows how incredibly quickly the usage went up on the trails. And then this chart shows the different trails. Some of the less popular trails have seen a big increase in usage, and you know, we can assume that's from wanting to social distance and spreading out, you know, and using the different paths. So it's great to see that those trails are getting used. We adapted so quickly and during the lockdown. It was amazing to see street closures so people could bike and walk, pop-up parklets, pop-up bike lanes. So we really want to keep that momentum going. And how do we, you know, encourage employees to look at this as a commute option? Martin Luther King Drive was shut down, and everybody got to just ride their bike safely and feel safe and feel protected from cars. So another strategy is the carpooling and vanpooling aspect. So a carpool is when somebody agrees to drive their own car and will drive to work with a couple of coworkers to and from, again, with the right social distancing guidelines set in place, wearing a mask, spreading out in the vehicle. These are still viable options. Vanpooling is another one where a group of employees can rent a van. We go through the vendor Commute with Enterprise. Insurance is covered. The cost of the van is split by the group. There's luxury seats. You can get Wi-Fi. You know, again, you can utilize every other street. You can get seat. You can spread people out. But this is a great way for commuters to save money and, again, reducing the number of cars on the roadways. And a way employers can really promote this and encourage employees to use these types of strategies is by providing upfront parking for carpool or vanpool parking. Of course, we have to talk about working from home. Again, when we last year, I can remember talking to partners, and you know, some felt working from home was never going to be an option full time for their employees. There's just no way, you know, that they could do it. Well, we've seen in the lockdown, people are working from home. They're being productive. They're efficient. Granted, childcare is a big issue for a lot of people at this time. But you can imagine in a post-COVID world, if everyone was still working from home, they're still being efficient and productive. And again, it's reducing a large amount of numbers of cars and congestion on the roadways. So if you haven't established a formal telework policy, I would highly recommend looking into that now. And again, GVF's here to help with that if you need any assistance, or we're here to be a resource. So I just want to touch on some commuter resources that you can take back and share with your employees as you begin to reopen and they're coming back. Again, something else that we can help with is if you do not have an intranet page for your transportation and commute options, I highly recommend doing that so that your employees have somewhere to go to find this information. It's a really great resource for them, and a way, and an easy, you know, no cost way to really help promote and show that you care about their commute. So at GVF, we manage several websites. The We Are TDM website provides the latest and most up-to-date transportation news. It's updated daily. And it also shares information on how to take alternative transportation options and things like that. So here you'd find, you know, SEPTA's latest news or information on the trails. So this is a great website to share. And then Philly traffic, we know, we're not naive. We know not everybody is going to jump onto an alternative and not drive alone. There are definitely some people it's just not possible for them not to drive alone. And so Philly traffic is a way to kind of help with congestion. We have several live traffic cameras on the major roadways, I-76, I-95, 422, 202, that shows what the current situation looks like traffic-wise. So I'd highly recommend employees, jumping on the website before they're about to take off on their journey and checking out the roadways. The US202.com and 422 Improvements website, they both house project and construction updates on their roadways. And we also post travel advisories here. So, if you want to see, if there's going to be road work happening next week, it's always posted on the website. So again, great resources to look at ahead of time before you're heading out. And then I have two resources as related to biking. The Circuit Trails is the connection of trails in our region. So this website, you can go on and you can type in your address and it'll find trails around you to help kind of pick the best route and things like that. And then DVRPC put out a bike stress map. So basically what they did, they looked at the streets in our region and kind of graded them on their level of stress. So, if there's high traffic, it's posted here. So you can kind of look at this and put in your address and figure out what the best and maybe the safest route is for you if you are going to bike, because not everybody has access to trails. We know that, but this will show you the kind of the back roads and maybe just some low stress streets. And my last resource is pacarpool.org. Here you can sign up for carpooling and it matches you with individuals who are looking to travel from a similar destination to a similar destination, and it connects you with them. And so that's a great way if you're looking. It also has information on like the emergency ride home programs. If you're taking an alternative and there's an emergency, there is a free program to employees that they'll pay for your Uber to get you home if it's an emergency. All right, and that's the update from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Nice job. As I mentioned in the chat feature, we're going to be taking questions towards the end after Rochelle speaks. So definitely hold on to those or feel free again to put those into the chat. So I have the pleasure of introducing our speaker this morning, Rochelle Colbreth. She's the manager of state legislative affairs for SEPTA. I've known Rochelle probably at this point over 14 years. Even when we were preparing for this presentation, having a call, still smiling. I don't know if there's been a time that I haven't seen Rochelle smiling. So very happy to have you here. And, my work with Rochelle prior to GVF was when I was working for a state senator. And Rochelle, that's a lot of what she does, her work with legislative affairs, her key role of building the relationships and maintaining with federal and state elected officials, but also most recently was creating the legislative senior key ID program at SEPTA. And Rochelle oversees, designs and manages all aspects of that program. And she's also responsible for developing the Senior ID, the transit program, which is critical in getting seniors out and to doctor's appointments. And obviously now in the time of COVID, there's many challenges. So we're excited to have you here this morning, Rochelle, to talk about SEPTA's recovery plan and to get a little more detail on what SEPTA's doing to be moving forward. So I will turn it over to you, Rochelle. Thank you.
Can you see me? I can't see
Yes.
myself. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. On behalf of SEPTA, our General Manager, Leslie Richards, our Chairman Dion, I want to thank you all for allowing SEPTA to provide this recovery plan update. Thank you to GBF and Maureen and Rob Henry and Stacy for setting up these recovery plan Zooms with your members. I'm going to try to see if I can start my presentation. SEPTA provides essential service Through all the challenges of the last 8 months, SEPTA has demonstrated that transit is an essential service. We have been collaborating with businesses and employers in the region to meet their unique needs and to return to work plans. In the early days, we worked to align essential service schedules with shifts at Penn, Jefferson, and CHOP, and more. We continue working to ensure that UPS drivers, grocery store workers, and other essential workers can get to their jobs. Even when the pandemic was at its worst, we never stopped running. Travel on SEPTA is safe. While many of our everyday activities have taken on increased risk during the pandemic, studies show that using transit is safer than people realize. SEPTA is doing our part to keep our riders safe and has implemented a 10-step action plan for safe return travel. Our response to the coronavirus pandemic has been guided by several overreaching principles. Our decision-making is driven by prioritizing employee, customer health and safety, ensuring clear and transparent communication with our customers and employers, positioning SEPTA to help lead the region through recovery to a more equitable future. Now, I know you see the screen is very small. No need to try to read through those. I'm going to walk you through the 10 steps because I can't even see those, the little writing. Enhancing cleaning, sanitizing, testing, evaluating innovative cleaning procedures. We sanitize our vehicles at least twice a day with high-touch area seating, sanitizing teams being deployed. And we shut down stations during off-peak hours to do full station cleaning. High-efficiency air filters and changing filters more often has been deployed. Also, testing and evaluating innovative cleaning procedures, working with industry peers and experts to evaluate emerging technology. Increasing and adapting service. We have also worked hard to increase and adapt service as necessary, which is not easy for a system as large as SEPTA. While service was reduced during the stay-at-home orders, we have worked to increase service as our riders come back to ensure proper social distancing. We have also worked to spread service more throughout the day to reflect reduced peak hour ridership. We've also kept an open dialogue with major employers in our service area to ensure we are meeting the needs of essential employees as they prepare to eventually go back to your office. Requiring and providing facial coverings. Masks are required by employees and riders while on SEPTA vehicles and in SEPTA stations and facilities. This is the most important thing we can do to keep each other safe. We created a social distancing coaching program which sends SEPTA employees out to stations as ambassadors. Their job is to help remain safe and hand out masks as needed. That work has really been paying off. We've been observing mask compliance by our riders and employees, and I'm happy to report we saw 97% of riders wearing masks in the month of October, with only 7% of them wearing them improperly. That's not having them on, covering their nose and their mouth. Social distancing initiatives. In order to help our riders spread out, we have installed social distancing decals on both seats and floors to guide employers. Prioritizing the health of our employees. We also know that keeping our employees healthy is crucial to riding SEPTA safely and have taken quite a few actions. We provide our employees with proper PPE, such as masks, gloves, hand sanitizer, and have constructed and installed operator barriers in all of our vehicles. We provide employees with free COVID testing through the Black Doctors COVID Consortium, of which I've been tested 3 times. Stepping up communication to our customers. Communication is also a key element, and we had to rethink how we communicate with public and our employees. We've created new COVID microsite on our SEPTA website. We have car cards on vehicles with COVID rider etiquette. And we have streamlined our social media to push COVID alerts out through a single channel. We communicate directly with our employees and our employers and our partnerships. And we've created an employee toolkit on our website and sent that to major employers. SEPTA's COVID-19 recovery plan. The customer experience remains our focus. We are prioritizing communication functions within SEPTA and working to update the SEPTA website. We are undertaking a comprehensive wayfinding master plan to help residents, visitors, and tourists navigate SEPTA and our region. We're also initiating business process modernization and strategic planning for the future. Regional recovery initiatives, our SEPTA partnerships. Partnerships with organizations across the region are crucial to SEPTA's success. SEPTA is working with many partners and employers to promote safe return travel and the region's recovery. Coordinating with the Philadelphia Convention and Business Bureau to adopt rigorous cleaning protocols, taking action on the recommendations of the Chamber's Recharge and Recovery Plan, and establishing a partnership with Drexel University to evaluate and identify cutting-edge technology and best practices in cleaning, disinfecting, and air quality. The COVID-19 impact. SEPTA is losing $1 million a day. COVID-19 has had a devastating impact on SEPTA's financial condition. For the first time ever, SEPTA is facing an operating and capital budget crisis simultaneously. The pandemic caused steep declines in ridership and operating budget losses. Before the pandemic, SEPTA was providing 1 million daily trips and operating with a budget surplus. This spring, when the statewide stay-at-home orders were in place, ridership on buses, subways, trolleys declined by 92% and 98% on regional rail. As a direct result of COVID-19, even the immediate enactment of cost-saving measures, SEPTA is losing an average. SEPTA is reducing its capital program. Pandemic has also impacted its capital budget, which is funded in large by turnpike-backed bonds. And like transit, ridership on the Pennsylvania Turnpike dropped because of COVID, impacting toll revenues and turnpike bonding abilities. For the second time in 2 years, delayed payments by the Turnpike will force SEPTA to reduce our capital program. We have identified $250 million in capital projects, including bridges and station accessibility and electric bus procurements that will have to be stopped or delayed. It's impacting jobs and economic activity when both are greatly needed at this time. So transit is not a cost, it is an investment. It's an investment that creates jobs, grows the economy, and improves the quality of life. Transit can be the fuel to the Southeast region and the state's recovery from the pandemic and support renewed job growth, quality of life, and economic opportunity for all. The way that you can help SEPTA and support the region's recovery is to share the important news that SEPTA's employer toolkit with your employees and your customers. Let SEPTA know about your company's return to work plans and your travel needs. And please urge lawmakers at every level to make transportation a priority. We'll end today with this. SEPTA has our region's back and we will always drive it forward. We ride on. When you're ready to come back to SEPTA, we'll be ready for you.
That's wonderful, Rochelle. That's a great way to end. And you know, what is reality of funding and you know, definitely some potential hesitation, I'm sure. And so how you ended it, the idea of you want to hear from people if they're coming back to work. We actually have 2 poll questions that we'd love for our attendees to take. So the first one, Stacy, if you could bring that up, and then we can open it up to some questions and discussion. So the first one is the percentage, just to get a sense from those on the call, the Zoom here today. So what percentage of your employees right now are back in the office? Tried to put a range here. You know, maybe not everybody is the decision maker, so you may not know, but take a minute to start plugging those answers in just so we can get a sense of those on the call. During our discussions, we're hearing a range. We're hearing a range as far as out to the summer for some, but some that have absolutely opened their doors. Are we seeing those come in, Stacy, on your end?
Yep, we're
Okay.
a couple more to go. All right, I think we can go to the next one.
Okay. Now, does it show the results? It'll show the results once both questions are asked.
I can show it now.
Okay, yeah, let's show that one. Okay. We're trying something new. We've been doing Zoom since March, and we're trying some new features to be a little more engaging. So this is actually the first time we're doing a poll. So thank you for participating. And you'll see here, 5% is our highest response, with 43% having about 5% in the office right now. Again, obviously, this is not representing all of our membership, but it is a really good representation of large corporate, large businesses. We have developers, property managers on, so obviously they can't know maybe every single tenant that's in the building. But okay, thank you, Stacy. Can you bring up the other question? So the next question is, so if you haven't opened your doors, when do you think you will have, and I would say that obviously we can't predict the unknown. Obviously there's the articles out there with the vaccine. When are people going to feel safe? So to the best of your knowledge, if you're able to answer this, of when do you think you will have, I would say almost, maybe we can answer this to be 100% of your employees returning to the workforce. Again, we can have this in our dialogue conversation, of course, after this. And obviously it all depends on the size of your company. Larger companies, I see Vanguard on here, not to put you on the spot, but maybe later on. I see Radial, Click, so larger companies on this call. It's going to be more challenging, you know, providing social distancing. So I know those numbers are, dates are going to be varied among.
We got about half of participants have responded, so I'm going to give it a little bit.
Okay. Thank you, Elizabeth. I see your comment from DVRPC. Thanks for participating. And another large office.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay. So this is interesting. You know, I'm not surprised. I'm sure nobody on the call is surprised to hear potentially that January. I mean, it already feels like we're in December. Obviously, COVID numbers are on the rise. So not surprised to see that being that people won't be returning, a smaller number being returned. July and August is what we are hearing, and I think the idea of being optimistic and hopeful.
And I'm on a Zoom meeting.
Perhaps the springtime. So this is yeah, interesting, you know, data. Appreciate participating in that. So we could close out this poll, Stace. And so I have some questions for our roundtable discussion. And so, but I just wanted to open it up. I'd be remiss to not give an opportunity to have directed questions for Rochelle that maybe weren't covered in her detailed presentation, or for Stacy. Again, we have some conversations that we'd like to have for that roundtable discussion. So I'll put it out there in case, does anyone have a question they'd like to directly ask Rochelle? Feel free to take yourself off mute.
Hey, Maureen, it's Corinne Steele with Vanguard.
Hi, Corinne.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Michelle, thanks for the presentation. I think you had mentioned, SEPTA's willingness and eagerness to work with companies and help communicate this recovery plan. I think Vanguard has quite a few hundred employees that rely on the regional rails. And, of recent, they've obviously expressed concerns about, rail cars or even the stations. I think, I'd be very open to partnering with you to help convey this message and your recovery plan. So I'm just curious as to what you think the best approach would be in getting that message out to a specific audience within Vanguard.
So you're speaking of getting the message out to your crew members specifically? You call them crew members, right?
You even know that they're crew members. That's right, Rochelle. That's exactly right. Thank you.
Okay, sure. So, I have several different ways that we can get the information out. The toolkit for sure would be something that we'd like to have you share with your crew members, as well as all of our social media links, so that we can make sure that they're getting information as well as providing us with feedback.
Perfect. Okay,
and comments
excellent.
and their suggestions.
That would be great, and maybe I can work through Maureen to connect with you directly.
Yeah, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Rochelle.
I'm a huge Vanguard fan. I'm a Mr. Vogel fan, so.
That's very nice. I'll make sure that that message is out there.
Yeah, SEPTA's website and social media, we share and retweet that, but I think sometimes the hesitation is not being able to see, but through the social media, you're seeing real-time pictures, you're seeing videos of what SEPTA's doing to clean the vehicles. So that is a great outlet for employees to be able to follow and be able to see, to start to maybe break down some of the hesitation. SEPTA has also changed their bike policy. So they're allowing bikes to be on transit during the peak hours. So the hesitation to potentially, even before COVID, the idea of that last mile connection to get to your employer's location. So maybe you want to take the train, your employees, or you want to offer it, but you don't have a shuttle. We understand shuttles are expensive, but looking at biking to be a great alternative, that multimodal option really for your employees. So I'm curious, looking at the businesses on the phone, the employers, who's making investments as you're looking at safe ways to bring employees back to work, on potentially looking at facilities inside your employer location. So whether it be showers, maybe you already have them, but showers, lockers, looking at also there's bike repair stations. We're seeing this throughout other parts of the country of property owners, developers, employers. They're looking at that to be a great program to put additional funding towards bike share programs. So I really, this is a time for you all to start to share ideas. So I want to throw that question out there to see who'd be willing to, if you're doing it, share how you're doing it, and then how you're promoting it, or if you had the program before, investing in cycling as an option. How are you going to get that information out to your employees?
Sorry, Bri, I'm just putting on my camera. Hi, Lisa Caraway from Click. Nice to see you all, and thank you for the presentation from SEPTA. That was really helpful. So we do have people who bike to work at Click. I think you've seen it. For those who have been to the Click office, we have bike rack for people. We have restrooms with showers available, and during normal times. These are things people were doing, and also we're encouraging the use of the the Chester Valley Trail that comes up right behind our office. So I think when we get back to people being in, and we're kind of past this pandemic kind of way of working, then we will be promoting again the different options that we have for people. And we do have some folks that carpool, and I know GBF has been to our site and presented, and people are very interested in carpooling. But I do think we'll need to get past, the period where people are not wanting to come into the office. But we'll certainly be promoting that. And I was glad to see the bike maps. So we can take your bike maps for those who don't have access to trails, like on the way to Click. I think that'd be really helpful. We can put that out there.
Mhm. Thank you, Lisa. Does anybody want to share what they're doing regards, and it doesn't have to be biking. We have a couple other questions, but is anyone else looking at making investments in a bike program that maybe they did not have before?
Hey, Maureen, it's Corinne again. Happy to share what's happening at Vanguard.
Thank you.
I think, we're fortunate enough, just as Lisa had mentioned, we're pretty close to the Chester Valley Trail. In fact, you can get directly to Vanguard from the Paley station via bicycle. So that's strongly encouraged. I like the bike repair idea. That's something we do not offer today. That's probably really worth investigating. But, we're casting a pretty wide net on micromobility for our campus because of its sprawl. And, we continue to branch out into some other corporate business parks. So, there's obviously a lot of considerations from a legal and risk perspective when you deploy bike share or the scooters. But I think my colleague Brian Hamill's on this call. I'm super passionate about getting us there, no matter how long it takes.
Mhm.
So, you guys, GBF has been a great partner in exploring those options and service providers who might be able to help us in that endeavor. So slow progress, but, I think it's a critical objective of Vanguard's over the next few years to really enhance our commuter benefits package and program.
Thank you, Corinne. Yeah, I'm looking at, and again, this is a sample, but it's, as the polling question results of looking at employers potentially not coming back or employees not coming back till that May summer timeframe, that's why we're continuing with this education and the idea that we recognize that change does not happen overnight. So, looking at those potentially initially simple tools of building that intranet site, and what type of links do you have on there? What type of resources do you have on there? Looking at SEPTA's employer toolkit, the idea that, do employees, not every, do employers know where all of their employees are commuting from? That commute shed. So providing as an employer the resources for your employees to make those informed decisions, to see what their options are, and looking at that as an enhanced way to improve your benefits package. Stacy mentioned earlier in the presentation, a partnership that we're exploring is one of our goals in general, and at GBF, our mission is, especially looking at our 30th year, how do we bring better technology to our region? And so looking at other parts of the country of what is being implemented, one partnership that we're is working on, there's different tech firms out there, but one is Transit Screen, and they have software that works with employers to look at where all their employees are coming from and really chart out a map of, here are all the different options. Here are your trails. Here is transit connections. And so their employees, it's used as really a recruitment and a retention tool. So the idea that if you bring employees on and then they're recognizing that, their commute, it's long, and we're not seeing the congestion we're seeing right now, obviously, but those AM hours, they're different because employees are maybe having a little more flexibility of when their employees can come in. Maybe they need to get children off to daycare, but we're still seeing those PM hours to be heavily trafficked. So this type of tool can help employers to look at where all their employees are commuting from, and to then help their employees to make informed decisions on what's the best option for them? You know, it might be transit. And then if you have that link on your website to see about what safety precautions they're implementing. Another area is looking at upfront parking as an amenity. If you're in a carpool or a van pool, you know, that's something that is a low cost to an employer, that you can have those type of spots reserved, especially for large campuses that have parking issues, whether you're maybe driving an electric vehicle. I know Vanguard has those. I believe, I know Click doesn't have a parking issue per se, but focus on electric hybrid vehicles. And I can't recall if Radial has upfront parking. Again, just seeing some of the employers on the phone here to call some out. So those are, again, some of the amenities that are available. And then we maybe could have put this as a poll question as well, but the commuter benefit, I'm not sure if all the employers on the call offer the commuter benefit, but the commuter benefit can be used to take public transit. It's a tax-free benefit that when you buy your SEPTA pass, the employer also benefits from their FICA tax, and the employee. You can also use the benefit when you're van pooling as well. So that's another way that, again, it's looking at how do you holistically improve your benefits package to be able to offer improved ways on how your employees can get to work, and looking at some of them to be low or to no cost, and looking at building out those intranet sites. Is there any other questions that we would like to, again, this was hopefully meant to be a roundtable of some conversation amongst the employers here. Hi, Brad.
Hi, Maureen. How are you?
Nice to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you. This has been really helpful. Really appreciate you organizing this and all the speakers and the good questions. I had a question for Ms. Colbreth about the SEPTA Compass program and whether we should expect any changes in it in the future. Westchester University has considered participating in the program both for our employees and for our students. And I'm wondering if you have any advice to us on participating in the program as we're able to get students and employees back to campus.
Hi. So I haven't heard anything, any changes regarding to the Compass program. And I'm certain that if, when we do return post-COVID, that the program will be up and running again as all of our other programs. I will find out though if there's been any changes with regards to student passes or access. But what was the school that you said was interested?
I work at Westchester University.
Okay.
So we have a good number of students and many of our dining services staff who take the 104 bus from 69th Street Station. We have other employees, particularly who take regional rail to Exton and then have to get from Exton to Westchester.
Okay, yeah. Do you have the information on the program, how it starts? Because there is a process. I can get that over to Maureen to make sure she gets that to you.
Yeah, we were in communication with some of your colleagues about a year ago, but we did not get to the point of formally joining the program, but the pandemic may give us an opportunity to plan ahead for when we are able to bring employees and students back to campus.
Okay, I'll make sure there's a few YouTubes that we can make sure that you look at the program. Thank you for your interest in it.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Well, we're coming up on the hour. We're really trying to keep these webinars to an hour, respecting everyone's time and attention and understanding the busyness of everyone's schedule. Looking at all of you that attended, this event was focused on employers, and participating, you all care how your employees are getting to work. So please call in. We're here to help with the strategies of your planning process as you reopen your doors in 2021, whenever that timing is, even if it's some brainstorming of bike share, bike repair, vanpooling, the public transit, looking at where your routes are that are accessible for your employees, and education. We're here to help, and look forward to continuing to work with you all. And if there's no other questions, we'll wrap up today's webinar and wish everyone well and to stay safe and to talk to everybody soon. All right.
Thanks,
Thank
Maureen.
you.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Michelle.
everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.